He'll be retiring at the end of the 2022 season.
Right after the Rose Bowl.
There you go.
Nice.
He'll be 48th season here in 2022.
Joe, how long have you thought about this day?
Really not a long time. Probably just the last couple of years is about it. My theory on this whole situation is I was really close to Bill Walsh when he was head coach of the Niners, and we would talk a lot about when he would cut guys. And his main mantra was go home a year early, cut him a year early, trade him a year early, then a year late. And so my concern has always been, I don't want to be the guy who stayed a year too late and somebody says, geez, he didn't get that right or didn't get that name right. So I felt it was better to go out. I've had a heck of a run, and I may already be the oldest play-by-play guy in the country for all I know, but I still enjoy it, but I think it's time.
What brought you to Cal initially?
It was kind of an unusual situation because I didn't ask for the job. I was doing hockey for the Seals, and I was filling in at KGO occasionally for Monty Stickles, who was the sports director at that point. And so I would do some shows for him and the like, and they had the guy who was doing Cal football in 73 and 74, they felt wasn't really a play-by-play guy, and so they just asked me one day, so would you be interested in doing football? And I said yes, and they asked me how much football I'd done. I said, oh, I've done a lot of football. The only football I'd ever done is go to Bears games. But I got the job in 75, and in fact, I remember on the very first road trip, first game I ever went to with Cal, we played at Colorado, and the sponsors always go on the charters, and one of the sponsors came up to me in the aisle while we're flying over there, and he said, you know, you're the fourth announcer in 5 years here. How long are you going to be here? And I said, as long as I want to be.
You were right.
Answer. So that's where we are right now.
So that first year you had a pretty good Cal team that you got to call the games for. What do you remember about that team, and specifically you had Joe Roth and Muncie and all those guys?
Yeah, Mike White was an incredible help to me. He was the head coach, and he just welcomed me to the family, as it were, and gave me everything I could possibly need for information. And what a team. I mean, that was a Rose Bowl caliber team for sure, but they lost to UCLA, and that made the difference. But I mean, think about that. Joe Roth was on that team, and the great receivers on that team. There were so many outstanding players on that 75 team. Chuck Muncie was in his prime at Cal on that team. So that was a heck of a way to start to become the Cal football broadcaster.
How did the call in '82 impact your life to this day?
The '82?
The call of the play, yeah.
It's amazing because people recognize it who you wouldn't even think would. I've had some amazing situations over the years. I think maybe the funniest one was Joe Morgan, bless his heart, had a golf tournament for years over in the East Bay. And one year, I was a so-called celebrity, which is stretching the term, but I was with 4 guys from Southern California, and we got out on the golf course, and one of the guys said, you know, this is supposed to be, we're supposed to put us with some sort of celebrity. Who are you? I don't know anything about you. I said, okay, I'll give you 6 words. The band is on the field. It worked.
Iconic words.
So it does. It's everywhere. It's an entrance to conversations, and I've had people talk about it literally all over the world.
You say, how often do you get asked about that, Joe?
It peaks and valleys. You know, you probably get more of it as we get into the football season. People start talking about football and about the Bears and all that. But it comes up, I don't know, at least a half a dozen, maybe a dozen times a year if somebody wants to talk about it.
What are some of the things you're going to savor this year in your last season?
I'm sorry?
What are some of the things you're going to savor this year in your last season?
Well, certainly I'm really excited about going to Notre Dame. I'm a Southside Irish Catholic from Chicago, so I grew up as a Notre Dame fan. That will not be the case this time, but I love the whole idea that we're playing there, so I'm really excited about that. And I've got some bittersweet feelings, like many of you guys probably do too, is the thought that we are at the end of playing UCLA and USC. Sounds awful. That is just terrible, and hopefully something can be done at least about UCLA, since they are a university school, state of California school. So that'll be a big deal for me too.
When you look back over the years, is there one team that stands out that kind of you enjoyed covering and calling their games more than some of the others?
I think the Aaron Rodgers team that didn't go to the Rose Bowl was an incredible football team. And Aaron's ability to throw into traffic, to find a way to win, the great running backs on that team, Deshaun Jackson receiver. I mean, we had so many great players on that team. That was a a truly memorable team. And really all the way back to the 75 team, my first team, that team was loaded with great players. Some of them really do stand out more than others, I have to admit that.
Joe, you did the 49ers and Cal for a number of years together, and I remember your stories about how crazy the travel was to get from one place to the other. How nice has it been for you to just be able to focus on Cal alone in recent seasons?
Yeah, I mean, it was a approach avoidance conflict. I knew I couldn't continue to do both teams, but I still loved it enormously. But it created some travel issues that are almost unbelievable. Nothing, by the way, I couldn't even do it today because of the new, really over the last 10 years, the TV contracts have changed so much. When I was doing the dual role, I knew that Cal was going to play at 1 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. I didn't worry about it, okay? But now when you start playing 7 or 8 o'clock at night, how do I get from, say, the West Coast to Green Bay overnight? You can't do it. So my timing was good that way because I wouldn't have been able to continue with both either way. So, but I enjoyed my time with the 49ers enormously. Loved the people I worked with and everything about the coaches and the players. A lot of us are still very close. And, you know, Gary Plummer, for example, played for Cal, was in the '82 big game. He and I ended up broadcasting together for the 49ers. So there's a lot of connections between the two teams.
Anything you want to say to the fans?
Thank you for your incredible support. I mean, I'm blown away sometimes when out of nowhere somebody knows who I am and talks about Cal football, and they're excited to do it. And it's not because they're excited to see me. I think I'm a kind of a conduit for them to be able to talk about the team and tell stories and relate to them as fans. And so I love that enormously. And as I said, I've had, I guess my greatest story, I don't know if it's even wasted here, but, you know, yeah, this is the best story you'll ever hear, I think, about being the Cal football announcer. And this is over 20 years ago. And my wife and my youngest son, we got on a trip to Europe. And we're going from Greece, we're going to Italy. We're going to finish in Rome. So the last stop is Rome, and we're staying in a hotel called the Cavalieri that overlooks the Vatican. And so it's a very hot August afternoon, and my wife and 11-year-old son don't want to go to the pool. They say it's hot, they just want to go take a nap. So I go to the pool and sit down, and I pull out a book, and in 5 minutes, the entire Rolling Stones band joins me at the pool, okay? Everybody's there with their wives, the whole bunch. Just by coincidence, Charlie Watts sits down next to me, right? And we start talking, and I'm asking them about their tour and all the things they're doing, and to this day, I can't believe I didn't ask for tickets, for God's sake. We were having a concert that night.
Nice.
But he says on this very hot afternoon, he says, Mike, do you want to go in the pool? I said, great idea. So we go into the pool, get into the shallow end of the pool, and we're just standing in the shallow end trying to cool off. And so help me God, as bizarre as this is a name won't relate to everybody who sees this, but you might remember a show called The Incredible Hulk. Lou Ferrigno jumps into the pool, okay? So I got Lou Ferrigno on my left, I got a Rolling Stone on my right, and I'm in the middle, and a guy jumps into the pool from the other end. And he looks us over, and Charlie says, you know, he says, they'll bother you everywhere, won't they? And he uses some salty language to do that. And the guy comes up to the three of us and looks us over and says, aren't you the Cal football announcer?
You're the celebrity.
Pretty good, huh?
So what did the other guys say then after that?
The other guys were looking at me like, what? So there you go.
That's a good one, Joe.
I'm not